Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast. I am Mark Schlereth alongside my co-host Mike Evans. The AFC and NFC Championship Games behind us. We've got the matchup for Super Bowl 59 as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Mike, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the program.
I'm great. What a championship weekend it was, and damn them Chiefs, huh? I mean, you know, I remember you and I talking about this right here on this podcast back in August, maybe even July. And I remember saying to you, Stink, I said, come on, there's no way, right? There's no way they can win 3 in a row. It's never been done. It's too hard, right?
Yeah.
And yet here they are. And I know that, boy, what we're about to talk about here, I know that everyone wants to just say that, man, it's the officials and it's rigged and all that kind of stuff. At some point, do we just have to give the Chiefs credit?
No. Yeah.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, listen, all I really wanted was the Buffalo Bills to have an opportunity at the end of the game, right? That's all I wanted. And I thought penalty-wise, I thought it was pretty even. Yeah, you could argue whether the worthy catch was a catch, whether it was an interception, whatever the case may be. It really didn't, to me, make that big a difference. You know, and I know the 4th down and 1, and people say clearly he made it, but clearly there was question, and you don't overturn the questionable call. Like, if you called it a first down, you wouldn't have overturned it. If you called it not a first down, you wouldn't have overturned it. And that's exactly what went down. But the bottom line was, from a coaching standpoint, just a pure coaching standpoint, the Buffalo Bills made mistakes. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't. From a decision-making standpoint, you're chasing points early in the game. You score a touchdown to make it 17-21 or whatever it was, and you decide to go for 2. Like, you're chasing points early, and you didn't need to chase points early. And I would tell you, I don't know when we let math people take over. Like back in my day, we used to shove math kids in lockers, right? And now we let them make decisions. So I would ask you this, like, okay, this is just my little, and you probably know the answers, but play stupid, okay? Play along. Not like you've never heard me say this before, okay? 1, how many 2-point conversion plays do you think we have in any given game plan? Like, hey, these are our 2-point conversion plays. We got to have it 2-point conversion plays. How many do you think we have?
Oh, I don't know, 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, we've got 1 got to have it 2-point conversion play and 1 other that we like, right? Now, how many times during the course of a week do you think we practice 2-point conversion plays?
Well, they could come up. They're very important. I would say you probably spend a lot of time with it.
We practice them 1 time a week on Fridays in underpants and T-shirts. I mean, like, they don't run them full speed. You don't practice them full speed. Your goal line period is a period at the end of practice on Friday. Like the fact that you're burning those plays early in a game when you don't need them, when you don't have to change or chase points, is the stupidity of the Buffalo Bills versus the confidence of the Kansas City Chiefs, all right? I'm going to wax poetic about Kansas City right now, and it's going to make me vile or vomit in my throat a little bit, okay? Hawk up a little, what do you call that? Bile, not bile, but bile, right?
Bile, yeah.
Bile. So, I mean, this is Buffalo making stupid decisions, whereas Kansas City just kind of stays the course and makes like solid, smart decisions. Ultimately, what I had said going into this game, I just want Buffalo to have a chance at the end of the game to possess the ball and win it. Guess what? They get the ball with about 3 minutes and 25 seconds left in the 4th quarter, down by 3. Your offense is up. Your MVP candidate, Josh Allen, has the ball. And what do? You take a shit in your helmet. That's what you do, because you guys can't get it done on the offensive side of the ball. First and foremost, from a coaching standpoint, the one guy that's been the difference maker throughout the course of that 3rd quarter and that 4th quarter was James Cook. You give Ty Johnson the only carry in that drive. What? James Cook, coming off Kansas City's field goal drive, isn't in the game on 1st down, but he is on the game on 2nd down. isn't in the game to get the first carry. It's your backup running back that gets the first carry. What? What are we doing? And then he doesn't get another touch, and he's the one guy. You went on an 11-play drive where you threw it one time. James Cook ate you alive, and he's not in? All right, okay, whatever. And then in critical moments, you get a 1st down and 10 after a Josh Allen scramble. All right, so you give it to Ty Johnson. He's -1. It's 2nd down and 11 or whatever it is. Josh Allen scrambles for 13 yards, 1st down. 1st down and 10, they get a split safety look. Shakir in a bunch formation runs the seam. And so you've got a buck cover 2, right? So you're locked up. Your wide receiver is locked up with their middle linebacker. Now, it happens to be a dime formation, so it's a DB that's playing middle linebacker, but it's a safe. So you're locked up with a safety one-on-one, right? Josh Allen is expecting you to run the seam, run the middle, split the middle of those 2 high safeties. It's a touchdown. Josh Allen throws it. Shakir curls up. You're one-on-one with a middle linebacker and a split safety. Dude, I don't know what league you're playing in, but the league I played in, your receiver is supposed to go hell-bent for election down in the middle of the football field, throw the hand up and go, I'm open. And that's what Josh Allen expected. He's like looking at Shakir like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then on 4th down and 5, Dalton Kincaid, you got to catch that ball. Critical moment, you got to catch that ball. You drop it. Okay, but beyond that, all right, you've got Kansas City on 3rd down and 5 or 3rd down and 10, making a 0 blitz and making a tackle. And here is your defensive end that peels off in a 0 blitz because he realizes that you're throwing a bubble screen against it. If he doesn't peel off, that's a 1st down. Maybe you break a tackle, it goes down the sideline. But he peels off, and he makes that play. Karlaftis, unbelievable play. All right, so critical moment. He's reading what you're doing, recognizes you're throwing a bubble screen, peels off, and makes a freaking tackle. Phenomenal. Puts him in 4th down and 5. 4th down and 5, exotic zone blitz. Now, this is zone blitz. It wasn't the 0 blitz that it was before. Zone blitz, you're bringing the corner off the boundary side. Something they hadn't done yet, and you're peeling everybody else off on the backside. So it's a zone blitz. You're still rushing 5 guys, but you're playing zone behind it. They've got Shakir running a fake orbit and then swing. And all that side, that left-hand side, everybody pulls out. Everybody is falling off to where they're blitzing from the opposite side, okay? So they've got it set up perfectly. They're sliding the protection to the left, so you're protected to the left. The quarterback, you're not protected to the right. Josh Allen panics, catches the ball, and runs into the blitz instead of running away from the blitz. Now, I've seen a lot of people say if he just threw the swing pass over there off the fake orbit, right, he would have, that would have walked in. They're probably right. But at that point in time, you're running into a blitz, so you're in panic mode. I'm not saying swing, change the protection, or do any of that stuff. But if you just fall away from the potential danger, like the one thing I've always thought about as a player, Mike, is what I need to know is where am I not protected? Where is my help? Where am I protected? And where can I not lose? And for Josh Allen, you've got to understand that, hey, man, the slide is to the left, so I've got extra protection to the left. So if they're bringing blitz from the right, just slide away from it and buy yourself an extra second or half second. But instead, he ran into it, completely panicked, and he said in postgame, I got confused. Tip of the cap to Steve Spagnuolo for confusing him and dialing up a blitz and a pressure he hadn't seen. And ultimately, again, it comes down to one team made the plays they had to make in critical moments, and one team didn't. And the team that didn't was the Buffalo Bills. And, oh, by the way, you still had time on the clock to get a stop with timeouts and get the ball back. And a 3rd down and 9 happens with over a minute left on the clock, and you throw a ball to Pirine, who hadn't touched the ball all day long, and he goes 17 to seal the game. The Kansas City Chiefs, in critical moments, from a coaching staff standpoint, Andy Reid, to Steve Spagnuolo, to their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, they make the big plays. They drop their nuts. and they make the big plays, and the Buffalo Bills nuts shriveled up like they got hit by that cold wind off the off of Lake Erie. Like they were up inside their stomachs. And that's the difference. Well, one team had big old clackers. The other team, had shriveled up raisins.
Well, while I like talking about these nuts, we're gonna have time. We're gonna have time to wax poetic about Kansas City here moving forward. But let's kind of put a bow on the Bills. So where do they go from here, Mark? I mean, this is the team that has been just proverbial knocking on the door, right?
Yeah.
And they've had the success against Kansas City and Mahomes in the regular season, but now 0-4 in the playoffs. Where do the Bills go from here? You know, they've done everything right in the postseason, but they're not getting in the regular season, but they're not getting the postseason success. Is it Sean McDermott not being the guy to take them, all the way to the mountaintop? Is it Josh? What is it? Where does this franchise go from here after another heartbreaking defeat?
Well, I think ultimately the difference is when the pressure's on, the blood pressure doesn't rise for the Kansas City Chiefs, and their hearts get stuck in their throat in Buffalo. From a coaching standpoint, like there's pressure there, there's panic there, there is, playing outside of what won you those regular season games. And I think the same thing can be said of Josh Allen. And ultimately, like Patrick Mahomes is a cyborg. He's not human in those situations. He just finds a way to make those plays. So, I know a lot of people will say, is it time to move on from Sean McDermott? Do they need another voice? No, I don't think so. It's just that in those critical moments, they've got to find a way to not let their blood pressure go through the roof. And they haven't been able to find those ways. And so ultimately, what you have to do is you have got to put the hammer down. And you've got to have a big lead at the end of the game to where it doesn't matter if Mahomes gets the ball last. But again, you had two opportunities at the end of that game to salt it away and get a victory. And too many mistakes from your quarterback to your coaching staff to your other players, drop passes, bad route, just a total brain fart on the route. And I look at those things and I said, those are the things that you have to be able to clean up in those critical moments. You've got to be able to make critical plays. Buffalo hasn't been able to, and Kansas City has.
A year ago at this time, we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles as what happened? What's wrong here? Something's off. Something feels toxic, a season that held so much promise, and they fell apart in such dramatic fashion that it felt like this was going to be something that was going to be very difficult to rebuild or rebound from. And yet, boy, here they are. So the $1 million question is how'd they do it?
Yeah. Well, I think one is that they are so freaking talented that they just let their talent, right? They let their talent shine. And the other thing is, I think that they signed one guy, to me, who probably unified that locker room to some degree. And that guy is Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. Saquon Barkley is so freaking gifted. He is so gifted. And he is so much fun to watch play. And not only does he run hard, but you've seen his explosiveness. You've seen the way he plays. And it's all awesome. But just, I'll give you off the ball moments. Mm-hmm. It's a 4th down and 5. They get single high safety blitz. Jalen Hurts drops back. Saquon Barkley picks up Frankie Louvu, mano a mano, blocks him. Hurts delivers a beautiful strike down the sideline to A.J. Brown, 1st down. At that point, it's a close game. The route is on. Okay? Big time play down the sideline, 30-plus yards, unbelievable dime piece. A.J. Brown, late hands, whoop, catches the ball. Awesome. Okay, that's one. Then there's a 3rd down and 6. 3rd down and 6, they've got a bunch formation, so they're getting, their releases, bam. Devontae Smith across the formation, takes a little bit of time. There's Saquon Barkley off the ball again. Absolutely crushes Frankie Louvu in blitz pickup. Allows Jalen Hurts to get the ball off. Bam, conversion. Down the sideline it goes. And, the rest is history. They get another touchdown out of that drive. And then it's quarterback draw called. Guess who the lead back is?
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback draw. It's our guy, Saquon Barkley. Bam, key block up on linebacker. Jalen Hurts flops around on the outside, gets the edge. A.J. Brown gets a block, touchdown. And then ultimately, Shipley takes one about 70 yards. Who's on the field celebrating with him like he just broke the run? Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Like that dude, and every locker room has that guy, Mike. It doesn't have to be a superstar. That's why I always say you've got to be careful about who you keep on your roster and who you release, because there are certain guys that are the connectivity pieces in a locker room. There are certain guys, and I've told you this before. It's not segregated is the wrong word, compartmentalized.
Yeah. Okay.
So your position group, you all sit together, right? You all go to the meetings together. You all work on the same part of the field together. I could take this is crazy. I could take any of the team photos I was involved with in the 12 years that I played, and you could lay down each team photo, and there'd be 2 or 3 guys that I couldn't tell you who they are.
Right.
I couldn't give you a name. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember that guy. Don't know his name. And ultimately what happens, Mike, is like DBs, for instance. This is always a big thing. Our offensive line set was on one corner of the locker room. The DBs were on the opposite side of the locker room, lockers between you on the opposite side. We all went to a team meeting. We sat in one area. They sat in another area. They were all excused from the team meeting. We put in our offensive installation. They put in their defensive installation. Then we went out to practice. They practiced on one side of the football field. We practiced on a completely different side of the football field. Like your interaction with those guys sometimes was almost never during the course of a season. And there's always that 1 or 2 guys that connect that locker room together. They're a connective piece, and they don't have to be superstars. Sometimes they're your top special teams guy. Sometimes they're just one guy that brings levity to the locker room, whatever the case may be. But I really believe that Saquon Barkley, his attitude, his excitement for the game, and his support of his teammates are the connective glue that holds the Philadelphia Eagles together and have rectified some of the tension or stuff that went on at the end of last year. He was the healing salve. Salve the right word? Yeah. Right? Yeah. He was the healing ointment that got them back together playing. And again, the way he celebrated Shipley's long run says everything I need to know about Saquon Barkley and what he means to the Philadelphia Eagles.
What did we learn about Jalen Hurts this year? What can he go back at his critics with and say, I proved this?
Well, I know wins are not a quarterback statistic, but he's a big-time winner. And I would tell you that he's a incredibly unselfish quarterback. It's not about numbers because he could put up numbers. And they got the talent for him to put up numbers. And I go back to a first quarter play, Mike. Devontae Smith in the first quarter had a out that he ran that was like a 20-some-odd yard gain. And it was really cool because they had Devontae Smith, and I want to say it was probably a 2-by-2 formation, but Devontae Smith on the wide side, and it was A.J. Brown into the boundary. This is early in the first quarter. And the first read is A.J. Brown, and they play what you call cover 6, okay? So it's 2 into the boundary, cover 2 into the boundary, cover 4 to the wide side of the field. And all that means is A.J. Brown releases, the corner falls underneath A.J. Brown's route, and the safety gets over the top. So it's an effective double team. a high-low double team on A.J. Brown. So Hurts takes a snap. First initial look as he's dropping back, he looks at A.J. Brown instantly, like recognizes cover two, I'm off of that. Bam, gets over to the opposite side of the field and throws all the way from the far hash to the sideline, an absolute dime piece in what is one-on-one coverage because you're playing quarters, so the wide receiver is one-on-one with the cornerback, right? And throws a dime piece. Devontae Smith, you'll remember it, toe taps the side. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect throw early in the first quarter. And that to me is a guy that completely understands what the route combination is, what the defense is, recognizes instantly that A.J. Brown, my intended target, is being double covered. Let me get back to the backside where I've got one-on-one. And like I said, he throws the ball before Devontae Smith is out of his break, so Devontae's not even looking at it. Mm-hmm. And he puts a perfect dime piece from the far hash. Like, he's proven that he can do it. He just hasn't been asked to do it. Right. And so I come back to this word I used on television today, frequency. The reason he doesn't get the credit he deserves is because they have so many weapons that it would be malfeasance of coaching not to give Saquon Barkley the ball 25 times a game, right? And then you've got Devontae Smith. Mm-hmm. Then you've got A.J. Brown. Then you've got Dallas Goedert, who's one of the best tight ends in football that nobody talks about. Right. So you've got all these other weapons, and you've got the best offensive line in football. So for you, you're going, hey, listen, Hurts, we don't need you to be special today. We just need you not to turn the ball over, convert some third downs, both with your feet and your arm, and that's what we're going to ask you to do today. And he's unselfish enough a leader to say, all right, I'm good with that. And I'll go back to Super Bowl 32 that I played in, single-handedly won. The Denver Broncos 31, the Green Bay Packers 24. I don't like to talk about it. Happy birthday,
by the way. You're just a couple days ago. Happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like to brag about it. I was incredible. But anyhow, when we played in that Super Bowl, Mike Shanahan went to John Elway and said, hey, man, do you want to win this game? And John Elway was like, I'm 0-3 in Super Bowls. He's like, duh, of course I want to win this game, right? And he goes, okay, I'm going to tell you, for us to win this game, you're not going to be the MVP. You're not going to be the focal point of this game. And John was like, all right, I'm in. Like, I don't care, right? And if you look at John's stats, his stats are horrible in that game.
Yep.
They're really bad.
Yep.
But there was a way that we could beat the Green Bay Packers, and it was going to require unselfishness from the quarterback. Go back into that game. Terrell Davis leaves the game with a migraine. He can't see. We need him on a fake. Mike goes, hey, man, can you go in for me? Can you go? And Terrell goes, I can't see. Like, I've got a migraine. I can't see. And Mike goes, I don't need you to see. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
That's classic. I don't need you to see.
I don't need you to see. Yeah. I just need you to carry out the fake, because if you're not in there, they're going to buy the fake. So just carry out the fake. We don't need you to see. And John Elway does the fake, goes in for the score, on the quarterback keeper. But he's like, I need you to draw the attention. So it's this unselfishness that we need. And ultimately, that's what Jalen Hurts has done all season long. He's just done what this offense and this football team needs him to do, man. And I literally couldn't be more impressed with Jalen Hurts. And the last thing I'll say, and where I really gained so much value or so much belief in Jalen Hurts, and nobody ever shows it, but I'll go back to that playoff game when he was the starting quarterback of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And he's not having a very good game, and Alabama's not doing very well. And he gets benched at halftime. Yep. Now, at the time, he's 25-1 as a starting quarterback of Alabama, or 25-2, whatever it was. And you're going to get benched in a playoff game for a freshman quarterback, right? And that freshman quarterback in Tua comes in, drives him down, and they score a touchdown. And at the time, you're sitting on the bench going, I'm 25-2 or whatever it was. I can't remember the exact record. Mm-hmm. And I just lost my starting job to a freshman who just drove us down, and we've been awful on offense, and scored a touchdown. And ultimately, what you're thinking right there is the quarterback of Alabama, and you know the competition at Alabama, right? You know how loaded your roster is. You're probably thinking, I'm never going to play quarterback here again.
Yep.
And you know who the first guy was running down, celebrating? He celebrated that touchdown like he threw it. And he went down and celebrated with Tua after being benched. And I would present to you that I think that very few people on the planet would celebrate that moment for your teammate like Jalen Hurts celebrated it. So you can say whatever you want about him. From a character standpoint, that dude can play for me any day of the week.
Again, much more on the Eagles coming up, but for Washington, as we wrap things up for them, I mean, nobody expected this. So was this, even though they got blown out in the NFC Championship game, it stings in the brief moments after, but you got to just look back on this as a wildly successful season where so much good was done.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn changing the culture, identifying your guy in Jaden Daniels. I mean, the future looks bright in DC.
Everything, Mike. First, you did the hardest part, right? The hardest part, you changed the culture. And a lot of the reason you changed the culture is because you found the guy at quarterback. And now you've got that guy in a rookie contract. You know who has the third most cap space in the National Football League? Washington Commanders.
There you go.
Third most. They've got $91 million in cap space. So you've got the third most cap space. And Dan Quinn even said it to me. Hey, we're not where we need to be talent-wise on the defensive side of the ball yet. Like, we've got areas to grow. You got the cap space. You got a rookie on a rookie salary cap, right? Playing quarterback, the most important position. And, oh, by the way, you retained all your offensive coaches. Cliff Kingsbury ain't going anywhere.
Yep.
So, like, you're in a beautiful position to not only draft, but to get out there in free agency and plug some of the holes because you've got the money to do it. And you got a rookie quarterback who is a professional freaking football player. Like, that dude, just because, I say this all the time, just because you play a pro sport doesn't make you a professional. He's a professional freaking football player. That guy's a football junkie. Man, I mean, the future in Washington is incredibly bright. You got to be, I get it. It's disappointing. You lost to the Eagles. Hey, look, you turn the ball over 4 times and your opponent scores on all four touchdowns on all 4 turnovers, 28 points. You're going to get blown out 55-23. It's going to happen to you, right? But man, what a season. And they've answered all these questions. And guess what? Going forward, they got all the cap space in the world to address those issues. They've got the draft, and they've got their offensive coordinator back, and they've got a superstar, budding superstar. And I would put him, come on, right now in the NFC, what quarterbacks would you put over him?
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford, we don't know if he's going to be back. He may retire. Jared Goff?
No.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is a top 3 quarterback in the NFC right now. Am I wrong?
Right. Absolutely. No. Starting right now. As of right now. Yep. Well,
Big
congratulations.
time.
Congratulations to Washington. Congratulations to the Bills. But we move on. Super Bowl 59.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of time to just dig into this one. Eagles, Chiefs, the matchup America didn't want. But you got to get it anyway, and you're still going to watch.
It should be a good one.
Rematch
of Super Bowl 57, which was a classic.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs winning, again. But anyhow, we'll see. We've got 2 weeks to talk about, 12 days to talk about it. We'll hash it all up and twist it all around and break it all down for you. Hey, for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, thank you so much for downloading. Thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate you guys. For Mike, I am Mark. We'll talk to you guys later on in the week.